Hello and welcome to the Garden Shop How to Garden video. In this video we want to show you how to grow pak choi seeds. Now pak choi is considered oriental greens which are useful in salads and also used in stir fries and the likes. So what we're talking about in this case is the pak choi. It's like most oriental greens, it's a brassica and therefore requires highly fertile soil with lots of nitrogen in it. And if you're going to grow it out in your vegetable garden, you would put it with your brassica crops and not with your leafy crops or your salad crops. So we're just going to show you now the process involved in sowing the seed of pak choi. So what we would use ideally is a single cell seed tray, or seed tray such as the one we have here. So I'm just going to fill that to the surface with compost, and again for sowing seeds we're just going to use a general potting compost. So I'm just going to put it out there. You can overfill your tray, and then just to level it off you can just use your hands just to give it a good level. So when to sow your pak choi then, I suppose the next question. Ideally you sow your pak choi in early to mid-summer. The reason for this is pak choi is very susceptible to bolting, and bolting means it grows very quickly, putting on a flower, losing vigour in its foliage and therefore really losing its purpose in terms of harvesting. So ideally you want to sow your pak choi in mid-summer. Bolting occurs due to cold weather and also the lengthening of the days, so therefore sowing it in early spring is probably not suitable. So what we're going to do then, once you have your seed tray filled, and I just need a small bit more compost here just to fill it to the top. So overfill it, and then just with your hand, just run your hand over to the sides and all the additional compost can just fall off. We have here a garden tray which is useful when sowing seeds, just to keep the place neat. It's going to give us a little compaction down, and then just give it a little small pat in, because it's quite a large area, these single cells, so it's no harm just to give it a little pat in so the compost is held together better. So now I'm just going to take the seeds out of its packaging. So what you're going to do then, I'm just going to pour them out into my hand, if you can see them there in my hand. What we want to do then is just scatter them over the surface of our celled seed tray here. You want about a 1 centimetre spacing, but we're not going to be too particular because we're sowing quite a large number. Once you have your seeds in, then you can consider what to do with it next. And with pak choi, they can be transplanted out into the garden once they're large enough to handle. They're quite a fast growing crop, and they're often used to fill in gaps in your vegetable plot. They can be sown next to or alongside crops that are still developing. Or you can keep them grown indoors all year round and use them as a cut and come again crop, whereby you just harvest the leaves as you require them and allow the plant to grow again, and then you can come back and cut it again another time. So I have our seeds scattered. I don't know if you can pick them up there, the distribution of the seeds over the cell tray there, but roughly they're just scattered throughout, spacing of about 1 to about 3 centimetres apart, evenly over the surface of the tray. Now what I'm going to do next is just take some more compost and just cover over the seeds slightly. Again, once these are large enough, you can transplant them out into your vegetable garden. Just remember that they require a highly fertile soil that's high in nitrogen, because as I said, they are brassicas, they're leafy crops, and to grow their large foliage they require nitrogen. Also, another thing to consider with pak choi in terms of care is that they require regular watering, as they have fairly shallow root system and therefore require a consistent watering. So now that I've covered the seeds, I just give them a little press in like that, and give the soil a good soaking. Okay, give the soil a good soaking, and then we'll place this. It doesn't require heat to germinate, so we don't need to put a propagation lid over this, but I will keep this indoors for a few weeks, and then when they're large enough to handle, we can harden them off and then transplant them directly out into the vegetable garden. So once you're happy that they're fully watered in, then we can put them aside. So that's the process really. That's the pak choi watered in now. And I said the next thing then is just wait for them to germinate, which will be about 2 weeks time, and then allow them to grow up large enough that they're big enough to handle, and then they can be hardened off and transplanted out into the vegetable garden. So that was just a video on how to sow pak choi seeds from thegardenshop.ie.